Hi, I'm Jen Newton, registered dietitian at the Sky Lakes Wellness Center. Today, we are going to be exploring eggplant. It's one of those vegetables that I feel like we don't eat often enough, and I think a lot of it is because we're just not quite sure what to do with it. It's actually fairly inexpensive in the store, and when it is in season, you can buy it at the farmer's market. Why should we eat eggplant? Well, it is one of the few vegetables that fall in that purple category, so it helps us to eat the colors of the rainbow. It's also low in calories, so for about a cup of cooked eggplant, you get only about 25 calories, and from that same serving size, you also get 3 grams of fiber, so also a real benefit there. It is a good source of potassium as well, and it will last in the refrigerator somewhat long, but you do want to make sure that you have a plan for using it once you have it. So today what we're going to be doing is some Panko crusted eggplant, and then we are going to create a topping that's kind of a Mediterranean, or has a Mediterranean flair to it, using some purple onions, some tomatoes, some roasted red peppers, balsamic vinegar, and some feta cheese. But first, we'll start by prepping our eggplant. So our eggplant was washed, and I cut it into about a 1/2 inch slices, or thick slices, so that way we want to get them as even as we can, and then we're going to just coat them in an egg mixture, and then we are going to dredge them in a panko mixture. You can add different seasonings with this, but what I've done with this is just put panko crumbs and some Parmesan cheese, some grated Parmesan cheese, and then I'm going to put them on, you know me, I like my parchment paper because again, it just makes for easier cleanup. So what's going to happen is this is going to go into my oven that's been preheated 375 degrees. I'm going to bake it for 20 minutes, and then I'm going to flip them over and I'm going to bake them for another 10 minutes. During that last 10 minutes, we're going to be prepping our toppings for our eggplant slices. So these have baked for about 20 minutes in the oven. So these 3 I have yet to flip, these 3 I already have. So you can see that they brown up just a little bit, and they get nice and crispy. So we're going to finish flipping these over, and then I'm going to put these back in the oven for about another 10 minutes or so. I'll watch the last couple minutes during cooking to make sure they don't get too brown. And while those are cooking, I'm going to be slicing up my onions and prepping my tomatoes so that we can put everything together when these are ready and out of the oven. So I have just sliced up my purple onion, and I'm going to put it into my skillet that has about a teaspoon of olive oil in there. And the idea is I just want to soften it up a little bit, and I'll let that cook while I'm getting my tomatoes ready to go. So I'll let that cook just for a few minutes here. So this is not going to take very long at all. In the meantime, I've already washed my tomatoes. But what I'm going to do is just slice them. You can do as thick or as thin a slices as you so desire. And then with my slices, I'm going to cut them into quarters. And this just makes it a little bit easier to eat. And then once my onions are done, I'm going to remove the onions from the heat, and I'm going to put the tomatoes on there just to brown them up a little bit, kind of soften them as well. And then when those are done, I'm going to put them into one of my bowls here and just cover them with balsamic vinegar just to add a little bit of flavor to them. So that should get me to right about the time that our eggplant is finished, and then at that point we can just assemble everything together. So our panko crusted, I was just about to call them zucchini, eggplant slices are out of the oven, and they are nice and crisp, which is one reason that I like to bake them this way. I'm going to top them with what you see here. So I've chosen to go with some pre-jarred roasted red peppers. This is what doesn't say Mediterranean better than red peppers. Here's my onions that we softened up on the stovetop. And again, you can use as much or as little as you want. If you prefer to use white onions, by all means, it's a taste preference. Here are our tomatoes that again were browned up on the stovetop, and then they've been soaking in balsamic vinegar for probably about a minute or so. I'm just going to put a few on top of here. I really like the flavor that the balsamic vinegar adds to this. And we'll do one more for good measure here. And then lastly, I'm going to add some feta cheese to this. So again, I like the softness that feta cheese adds to this, and it just makes it look really pretty as well. So here we go. Here is our eggplant with some Mediterranean flair on top.